much for having me. I'm the Eastern Program Coordinator of Earthworks, which is a national nonprofit founded in 1988 to protect communities and the environment from the negative impacts of mineral development. I commend the EQB and the DEP for this process. We have been part of a growing group of organizations and residents calling for an extended comment period, and look forward to the response from the DEP on that. 5 years into Pennsylvania's shale gas boom, it is high time for a full overhaul of Chapter 78. Both field experience and emerging science make clear that gas development poses hazards to health and air and water quality by virtue of the products used, substances produced, and operator practices. These realities are faced every day by communities statewide and nationwide, and should persuade the board and the DEP to adopt the most protective regulations possible. And I do commend you on your efforts around pre-drill testing and replacement water, as well as orphan and abandoned wells and other aspects. We will be submitting full technical comments. So tonight I'll just focus on some aspects of the waste issues in particular, with which we're very concerned. The challenge that operators face in dealing with growing volumes of solid and liquid waste, it should not be an excuse to allow dangerous substances to harm health and the environment. It can be very inconvenient and difficult to deal with waste, but that's not the issue at hand. Others have mentioned the federal loopholes to which the oil and gas industry alone enjoys, including a special exemption to the U.S. Resource Conservation and Recovery Act regulating hazardous materials. Since Pennsylvania is not looking to follow RCRA standards, which it could on its own if it chose to, at the very least, DEP's proposed Chapter 78 regulations should address risks posed by waste, which the current regulations do, as proposed, do not. We advocate strongly for production pits, and any open impoundments, tanks, and modular structures should be prohibited if they are at all open, and those would be used for the temporary containment of regulated substances. Only covered closed-loop systems should be allowed. Fresh water must be clearly defined, others have alluded to this, for the purposes of regulation. Otherwise, operators, which they're already trying to do and pushing legislation to do so, will improperly use, process, and dispose of harmful substances such as effluent, mining water, and flowback. The requirement that pits and impoundments be only 20 inches above the seasonal high groundwater table gambles with local water quality in a state with many shallow groundwater sources. If pits are allowed, which we obviously said they should not be, but if they are to continue to be allowed, the separation distance must be expanded. And I'd like to draw your attention to looking at other state standards, such as 5 feet in Louisiana and 4 feet in Michigan. The burial and land application of drill cutting should be prohibited. Different regulations have been proposed for cuttings above and below the casing seat, but both types contain the same chemicals, and it's demonstrated by alarms continually going off at Pennsylvania landfills, potential radioactivity. The burial of production fluids and residual waste in pits and storage tanks should be prohibited. This is an out-of-sight, out-of-mind practice that may be really convenient for operators and make the permitting and oversight process easier for the DEP. But waste burial is nothing more than a toxic legacy, which the public will have to deal with in the future while operators get to literally walk away from it. We strongly urge the DEP to not issue waivers to waste disposal regulations.
1 minute.
There is no evidence that DEP actually checks whether these alternative waste management practices are equivalent to Chapter 78 regulations, or in practice, again, anything but a convenience for operators. And in closing, I'll just say that obviously accidents, spills, and equipment failures occur even during routine operations and properly permitted facilities. Yet the vast majority of active wells continue to go uninspected. Operators violate the same rules at different locations year after year. The rate of enforcement actions has actually gone down per violation. It is tragically clear that at current funding and staffing levels, DEP is not able to keep pace with an expansion of drilling and facilities. And that's no slap at DEP. It's about the resources and funding. So the board and the DEP have a lot of work ahead to develop and adopt strong regulations. So I would hope that in doing so, you also look at what it takes to ensure that those regulations are followed. Thank you very much for your time and for this process.
Thank you. Gary?